Facebook Live. It's GD's promotional interviews, interviewing Eva Schubert. Good evening. How are you? Oh, is it good morning over there?
Somewhere in between. Yeah, there's a time difference. Close to
me. Quarter past 11.
That's right.
Am I right? Yeah, see, I know these things. So, what part of the world are you in then?
I'm speaking to you from Vancouver, Canada, which is the most western part of the country and also the warmest at this time of year, for which I'm grateful.
Well, that's pretty cool. I had Amanda Jean on yesterday. She was from Vancouver as well.
I saw that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the same thing for you then with the lockdown, I guess, and the virus sort of thing.
Yeah.
This virus going around, you know.
Yeah, that thing. I know. It's definitely it's slowed down a lot of things, you know, because when it comes to making music, you want to be in a room with other musicians working on things, and that's where a lot of the magic and the inspiration happens, when you come in with an idea for a song or something you're going to work on, and then you actually start doing it in a room with other musicians, and they bring their own thing to it, and that chemistry happens in real time. So there's been a very few opportunities for that to happen in the past year. And so that kind of slows down the pace of finishing stuff, because you put it through that process.
Absolutely. So are you using that time productively by writing more songs?
Absolutely, yes. Probably 7 or 8 in the past few months. All new stuff, and I'm talking to a producer that I've worked with before, actually from Toronto. He does brilliant work. His name is Bryant Didier, and he did my last collection of songs, Hot Damn Romance. So I really like his style. I'm looking forward to working with him again, but I've got the songs ready to go. We just haven't been able to fix a date for me to fly out to Toronto and record them. Because Toronto's in lockdown too.
Yeah. Oh dear. But your style is jazz. You're a jazz singer, mostly influenced by jazz, aren't you? You've got Ella Fitzgerald. Is one of your main influences there, isn't she?
Absolutely, yeah.
Along with Billie Holiday and Etta James.
Yeah, you know, I grew up listening to those things as a teenager. My grandfather actually was the guy who played jazz. He had the old vinyl records, and he'd be playing Frank Sinatra and Louis Armstrong and Ella. And I just loved that music. I fell in love with it. And I've never lost the romance of it, but I didn't get into writing music until relatively recently. And when I did, that was the sensibility that I brought to it, is that I wanted music that had that feel. And so that's often how I try to write.
So what was it about Etta then? Just a voice, just a style, you know, the way she sang? Is it something about Etta that just set it off for you and thought, that's it, that's what I want to do?
Yeah, I mean, there are two things. First of all, Ella was an absolutely amazing.
Well, I thought it was, sorry, I'm going on Etta James rather than Ella Fitzgerald, sorry.
Both of them are fantastic vocalists, although Etta James tends to go more towards blues and Ella towards jazz. But I'm thinking about Ella right now, and as a vocalist, she's just incredible. I mean, the range of expression and her softness and her huskiness and her highs and her lows and her scat. I mean, it's fantastic. And some of her improvising has become legendary. When I was a kid, I heard the version of Mac the Knife that had Ella improvising because she forgot one of the verses. And I thought that's how the song went. I didn't realize actually that there was a whole verse there that she just forgot and she was making it up, but she could carry it off because of how she was as a vocalist and the confidence. So that's her as a person, which I find amazing. But there's also the jazz aesthetic. You know, it's classy. Like you don't see jazz singers up there with their backsides, you know, hanging out, wagging at the stage. And when you think about jazz lyrics, there's a sophistication and there's a timelessness and a romance that I think is why we keep listening to them decades, even in some cases 100 years later. And that's something that inspires me, is that I don't want to write music that just sort of picks up on the latest synthy beat. I want to write something that people come back to because there's something authentic in it that keeps speaking to them. And I think that a lot of the best jazz does exactly that.
So if you've had this lifelong passion for jazz and you've grown up listening to Ella and Etta and Billie Holiday, why did it take you only 6 years ago to start writing jazz?
That's a very good question. Well, I mean, there was always music in the family. We grew up with an upright piano, and there was violin lessons from one of my brothers and so on. But we were actually quite. We didn't have a lot of money at all. There were 8 children in my family. I was the oldest, and my dad had a job, and my mom had to stay home with the kids. So 8 kids on a single income. You do the math. There's not a lot of extra to go around, and so I had the strong feeling that I better go to school and do something very, very sensible so that I could support myself, well. And so I went to school, and then I went to graduate school, and I got a master's degree and all that serious, sensible stuff. And then when I'd done that, I had this amazing moment where music happened, and it's the craziest thing. So I had just had my daughter, and she was like 2 years old or something. And I'd always written poetry since I was a kid. I loved poetry, and the magic and the rhythm that can be created through words. I went a long way back with that, but I didn't think I could do music. I didn't take myself seriously as a singer. And in terms of writing music, I mean, I had no thought of doing that. I thought, maybe I'll write some lyrics and someday someone else may come along and put them to music, and then there'll be a song. So I had been writing these lyrics, and I was standing in my kitchen stirring a pot of oatmeal one morning, going over these lyrics, and suddenly I could hear music behind those words. Like I could actually hear notes. And so I began to hum it and go over the words with these notes. And then I was thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Because I know that in a second I'm going to get distracted with this baby and this is going to be gone. So I frantically go to my computer thinking there's got to be a way I can record like the sound that I hear in my head. And so I found some free recording software in a matter of minutes. I downloaded it and I just hummed and just sang those words roughly along to the melody in my head. And from that moment, it was like there was a tap that got turned on in my brain. And very frequently, I'd be writing lyrics and I would hear music, which I would then record. And that is how songwriting started for me. So it really started 6 years ago over a pot of oatmeal when I discovered that there was music in my head that I didn't know how to access before. Wow,
there's some stories, but that's great. That's really great. I mean, just I can imagine it. Just stood at the kitchen, whatever, and it's like, yeah, great.
Yeah, and so
then when you're singing, do you hear yourself as Ella, Etta? Do you imagine yourself being them kind of people, or do you want to stay yourself, true to yourself?
Well, I sometimes think of songs and I'm inspired by this style of other people. So sometimes, like, there's a song I wrote called They Say, which to me sounds like a Nat King Cole song. It sounds like, I could hear Nat King Cole singing that song when I wrote it. And it's not because it's anything, it doesn't sound like actually, it doesn't borrow any words or melody, but there's something about the style and the aesthetic of it, which comes from my love of his stuff that, inspired me to write that way. And sometimes I'll think about Ella and I'll listen to her now, and I'm listening to her more as a vocalist. I'm thinking, oh, that sounds so good because she's going soft at the top of that. And so I will learn by deliberately listening to what makes her delivery so powerful. But when I'm writing songs, I'm writing them for me. I'm writing them from things that come from my life and my emotions and my words. It's just
Absolutely.
that they have that feel because I like it.
Absolutely. But so now, like we say, the lockdown, you can't get out there to perform, which is the crux of our business, isn't it? Getting out there and performing in front of people. But getting out there, performing online and sending your stuff out online is wonderful, isn't it? It's a wonderful thing.
And, I have made some of the most fantastic relationships through music online. It started a few years ago. And by a few, I mean less than 6. So I think it's 3 or 4. There was a platform called SoundCloud, which is still around, but it used to be more interactive. And so there was a fellow I met there from Italy, from Milan. And he's a jazz piano player and takes it very seriously. I mean, he goes to the Royal Conservatory of Jazz in Milan, and he took courses, and he's a really great piano player. He's also a surgeon in his day job. So anyway,
wow, okay. That takes a while.
Right? So
I'm sure he uses the music to take a break from whatever he does.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to say too graphic things here, but I'm sure he's doing that. Yeah, to take a good break. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a totally different part of your brain, but he does it with the same focus and determination. So we ended up doing a collaboration online, even though we'd never met in person. And we did this cover of Autumn Leaves, which is a jazz standard. And we made a video, and it's a split screen.
I love that song.
Well, you can find it. Our version of it is on YouTube, and it's on my Facebook page as well. But YouTube is my YouTube channel, the easiest place to find it. Also, my website. Anyway, split screen. He's playing piano in Italy, and I'm singing the song in Vancouver, and we're doing it together. And funny enough, I went to Italy a couple of years after that and played live with him and other musicians that he knew. And we did a couple of shows in Italy as a result of that online thing that we'd done earlier.
Wow. I mean, Autumn Leaves is a great song. I used to be in a male voice choir, and we sang Autumn Leaves. And, I see your face, the summer kisses, sunburned hands I used to hold. Brilliant words to it, and it's a great little song. So, yeah, I'll have to check that out.
I love that song. And, we did this collaboration, and there was a really, really talented...
That's all you're getting from me, by the way.
No, there's a guy in Finland that, again, I've never met, and his name is Petri Kivenini, and he's a sculptor, but he's also a musician, and he makes very different, the kind of synthy, dark, Blade Runner-esque sort of music. And we did a cover of Eurythmics' Sweet Dreams.
All right.
Which is also a video you can find on my YouTube channel and everything. But he did the backing track, and it's very Blade Runner is what comes to mind. It sounds like a Vangelis kind of thing. So he did a new backing track for that song, and then I sang it in a style that responded to what he'd created, and we made this video that, I mean, I just love it. It's not jazz, but it was the most fun to do. And that's been available through online platforms where people who do music connect with each other. And we bring up both ideas from both sides and come up with something that neither of us could do alone.
And that's one of the things as well. If you enjoy doing it, that's the best thing. If you're enjoying it and you feel it, that's the best thing about music, I think.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know a lot of musicians talk a lot about not being able to make a living as musicians, or, with music being streamed, the amount of revenue that goes back to the person who writes the song is ridiculous. And that's entirely true. I mean, I can tell you that. But
it is.
At the end
it's a very fickle industry.
It really is. And I think that if you're doing music because you have this dream of being a big star, I mean, that's nice, but what if you never become that big star? I mean, is it not worth doing then? I think You have to.
No, definitely not. I think you still carry on to enjoy it for yourself. And if you don't enjoy it, then you stop.
Yes. Yeah, you have to do it for the joy in it. You have to do it for the love of the craft, and because you're making something that you're proud of and that gives you pleasure and hopefully brings that to other people, and that's its own reward. And if it takes off and more people hear it, great.
Yeah.
That is a good thing. But if it becomes a dollars and cents game and you say, well, I can't replace my regular paycheck with my music, therefore I'm a failed musician, I think that's entirely the wrong way to look at it. I mean, look at people like Van Gogh, who was a painter. I'm thinking about Van Gogh because I just released a video this week, which is a cover of a song about Van Gogh and features his paintings. So I have him on my brain. But Van Gogh creates all this art and he's penniless in his lifetime. Nobody buys his paintings. So if Van Gogh had said, you know what, no one's buying my paintings, no one likes my work, I guess I better stop doing them and become a carpenter or whatever, the world would be a poorer place, So I think if you love it and you believe in it, you have to keep doing it for that reason, and that has to be at the end of the day what it's about. And then
exactly, Exactly. And that's why another reason why I don't like all these reality shows like America's Got Talent, America's Pop Idol, Britain's Voice. I just don't like them. They play with people's lives almost, and I just don't get why they do that. They have to judge talent like that. Get to an open mic night. There's plenty of talent down there.
Yeah.
That's real talent as well. It's just from my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
It's nice to give people
a money game. That's what I was going to say. Sorry, I was just going to say also then reality shows are money games.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that one, but I believe that it follows the formula of other reality TV shows. I'm sure.
Would you ever go on a reality TV show?
Would I? Are you saying would I go?
Yeah. Would you go on one?
On a reality TV show as opposed to like
reality singing show.
A singing show. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say no to the opportunity to be seen by a lot of people that you wouldn't otherwise be seen by. So I think that probably it would be silly to say no, just because you have the opportunity to be seen by a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't know you existed. So it's probably a good thing from that point of view, but I don't think it's necessarily, it doesn't give you a full picture of who you're dealing with. You kind of get a moment where there's one.
It's not a necessity, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
And for people who go on there to think, I want this and I'm going to become this and I really want this, I think that's a wrong attitude. You go on there to enjoy it. If you don't get picked, you don't get picked, And I think, well, you've sang on telly. What more can you ask for? And if you don't enjoy it that much to go on telly and you want to get picked, don't go on there.
Yeah,
just go on there for the joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they stand there going, please pick me, please pick me. And it's like, just stop this,
Yeah, I know. It's embarrassing.
But anyway, that's my take. Anyway, so Eva, have you got any new releases coming out that we can get coming out on all the platforms, Amazon, Spotify?
Yeah, I'm actually the EP that I've written, which is waiting to be recorded, is coming out in 2021, COVID permitting. All right. I mean, I'm hoping. Yeah. I mean, every couple of weeks, I'm checking in with my producer. I'm looking at what's happening in Toronto. We've got all the songs. It's just a matter of arranging them and recording them. And the last time we did it, I came out and we made an EP in a weekend. I mean, we spent a ton of, we lived in that studio for 3 days and that's all we did. But, there wasn't a lot of sleep involved. So once that light turns green, it's going to happen very quickly. But that, I mean, if that happens, I'm going to be posting updates on that all over my social media saying, going to Toronto, going to record new stuff. Here we are in the studio doing this. In the meantime, there's probably going to be a number of covers, and maybe if I can pull off a single that'll be coming up in the next couple of months. Just smaller scale projects that I can do with fewer pieces locally, just given the conditions. Yeah.
Well, I wish you well in everything that you do. And just one more question before I go. I've got to ask you. Nina Simone, absolute legend. We didn't mention her, but
Yeah.
what an absolute legend.
Oh, she was an incredible woman. And I think, I mean, what we remember her for is her jazz and her vocals and her jazz piano, but she wanted to be a classical piano player. I mean, she actually wanted to play at Carnegie Hall and had these incredible aspirations, and she was so talented, and she was extremely Black, and that was how things were. So she was bitter about that, and rightfully so.
And brave as well. She was a very brave woman, wasn't she?
Absolutely. I mean, she was willing to say things that were not popular, and that were, politically uncomfortable about being Black in America. And I think at one point she even left America and went and lived in France for a while, because of how things were going. But Billie Holiday, who was earlier, had the same thing. I mean, she sang "Strange Fruit." I actually made a little history video about that as well, talking about what that song is really about and who wrote it. And it's one of those songs that we just kind of gloss over because it's part of the jazz canon, and you hear Billie singing, the lyrics of this song, and we kind of, oh yeah, it's a moody Billie Holiday song. But that's a song about lynching. That's a song about Black bodies from trees, right? I mean, when you actually listen to the words, it's like, whoa. And to get up there and sing that song in front of a white audience and talk about the gallant South and the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth of the faces that are at the ends of those nooses, and that's uncomfortable. And she got a lot of grief for that. So Nina and Billie and a lot of these, and Ella too, a lot of these Black women who are the shining stars of jazz did that in the face of a ton of social prejudice. And that makes it all the more remarkable what they accomplished. And the fact that they were still ready to give that from themselves to the world, white and Black, despite what they were facing. I think that's incredible.
And for the time they did it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you very much. And I wish you well in everything that you do, and stay safe. And I must say thank you for taking the time to do this interview in difficult times as well.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for asking. It was lovely to meet you, Graham.
Yeah, and you. Speak to you soon, yeah?
All right, take care. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye.